So let us start. So I'll read each sentence. Okay? Yeah, I'll read each sentence and then we'll see. So the chapter is reality and the integral knowledge. We have seen already that reality, there is a gradation of reality. In the physical world, everything that seems real is not permanently real. It's all a constant transience. Then as you keep going higher and higher in consciousness, at the highest level is absolute reality, which is permanent. It never changes. Okay? So keep this in mind. So depending on which level of consciousness you are, you will see also reality relatively or at the top, absolutely. Okay? So, 6, 7. In fact, I am reading each sentence. In fact, the Brahman is one, not only in a featureless oneness beyond all relation, but in the very multiplicity of the cosmic existence. So, we look at each phrase and understand what he's saying. The Brahman is not only one in a featureless oneness. Featureless oneness is level 2 spiritual planes of consciousness, where you are in the self and the Brahmic consciousness. And there you see the oneness. So there is very obvious. Anyone who goes there will see the oneness, okay, and the featurelessness. There is no color, no shape, no form, nothing to that consciousness. But Sridhar is saying that there is oneness even here in the physical world, which is the multiplicity of the cosmic manifestation, cosmic existence. Okay? Even in the cosmos, there is a multiplicity, but the oneness is there, probably hiding behind the multiplicity. Okay? Now I read the next sentence. Aware of the works of the dividing mind, but not itself limited by it, it finds its oneness as easily as in the many, in relations, in becoming, as in any withdrawal from the many, from relations, from becoming. So Sridhar is referring here to the cosmic consciousness. When you are in the cosmic consciousness, you can see that you are part of everybody and everybody is part of you. Okay? So therefore, that's a oneness. Not at all difficult to understand. Okay? But if you are at the level 1, if you are identified with your body, mind, life, it is impossible to see the oneness. But also remember another thing. When you go to level 2, 3 things are possible. You see the physical world as unreal, and then you don't see the oneness. You see the oneness only at a higher level. There is no oneness at the lower level. In fact, everything is all fleeting images, and the fleeting images are not one. And there is even unreality. But it is also possible that when you go to the self, you may get the cosmic consciousness. And in the cosmic consciousness, the world is real, but it's also, you see the oneness of things. And the oneness is of 2 types. I see everybody in me, or I see myself in everybody. Okay? These are what you call the apprehending consciousness and the comprehending consciousness. Okay? So, this is what Sridhar is saying. Brahman is one in level 2, but is also one in level 1. But is also one single in level 1. Okay? Ourselves also, now the experience of a yogi, ourselves also, to possess even its oneness fully, must possess it. Since it is there, since all is there in the infinite self variation of the cosmos. So Sridhar is saying, if you are an integral yogi, you must have the cosmic consciousness. It's very often it's possible for those who go to level 2 not to have the cosmic consciousness. So if you don't have the cosmic consciousness, you will reject the physical world. But Sridhar does not want to reject the physical world. Right? So this is what he's saying. Ourselves also, to possess even its oneness fully, that is level 2 and level 1, You must, since it is there, since all is there in the infinite variation of the cosmos, you must see the oneness everywhere. I read the next sentence. The infinity of the multiplicity finds itself explained and justified only when it is contained and possessed in the infinity of the one. Okay, so you understand the infinity of multiplicity only when you go to the infinity of the one. So finds itself explained and justified only when it is contained and possessed in the infinity of the one. What he's saying is that the oneness of level one is sort of inferior, if you want to say in a certain way, inferior to the oneness of level two. The level two is more real. Okay, that's what he's saying. The infinity of the multiplicity finds itself explained and justified only when it is contained and possessed in the infinity of the one. But also, the infinity of the one pours itself out and possesses itself in the infinity of the many. When you are in the Brahmic consciousness and you are a Mayavadin, you don't see the physical world connected with the self. You don't see the level one and level two as connected. But if you are in the cosmic consciousness, you see that not only is it connected, but the level two, the self, the silence, is what allows the movement in the physical world. Okay, this is what Sri is saying. And I told you there are 2-3 ways of explaining this. Suppose you have a tank of water on your terrace. The water is stable. That is an image of the self. But you have got connections and it comes down to your tap, okay, in your bathroom. And that is movement. As soon as you open the tap, there is movement. And that's level one. So that is symbolic of the physical world. Now, the oneness of level one in your bathroom, it cannot be there unless that water tank is there upstairs. This is one example I'm giving you to make you understand that the physical world exists only because there is a silent world above. Okay, the silence permits the movement. The one permits the multiplicity. That's what he said. There's another way of explaining this also. The river is movement, so it is level one. Okay, but where is the river coming from? It's coming from the glacier. The glacier is or the snows from the mountain top. The snows of the mountain top are not moving, so they are level two. That's the featureless Brahman consciousness, and from there, because the snows are there not moving, that the river is possible. Okay, so that's another way of explaining. That's what Sri is saying. He's saying the oneness of level two, the oneness of the featurelessness, okay, allows the movement of the level one. So although you can see the oneness in level one, it is dependent on the oneness of level two, this Brahmic consciousness. Brahmic consciousness allows the movement in the physical world. That's what he said. Okay? I gave you 2 examples to see how it is. So now he's saying to be capable of that outpouring of its energies, as well as not to lose itself in it, not to recoil, defeated from its boundlessness and endlessness of vicissitudes and differences, as well as not to be self-divided by its variations, is the divine strength of the free Purusha, the conscious soul in its possession of its own immortal self-knowledge. So what he's saying, simply saying is that if you want to see the divine fully, by all means, go to the Brahmic consciousness. Get the consciousness of the one, but get the consciousness of the two also, of the lower level. That's what he's saying. You must have both. And that's exactly what Sundar is saying. We don't run away from the physical world. The Mayavadis and the Buddhists are running away from the physical world because they feel that the world is unreal. But Sundar does not agree with that. He says that If you look carefully, you will see that the divine is here, even in the world, even in level 1, even in the multiplicity, he is there. Okay? So you also should be able to do that. To be capable of that outpouring of its energies, as well as not to lose itself in it, not to recoil defeated from the boundlessness and endlessness of vicissitudes and differences, as well as not to be self-divided by its variations, is the divine strength of the free Purusha, the conscious soul in its possession of its own immortal self-knowledge. In other words, the human being must go to level 2. It's a static condition. But he must also be able to work in the physical world without being subject to the senses and subject to the body-mind life. Okay? You are master. That's what he's saying. Okay? That's what you should do. Normally, the Buddhists and the Mayavadins don't do that. They reject the physical world. So they're saying, no, in our philosophy, in our integral system, we will continue to work in the physical world, but not in ignorance. We will station our consciousness at the higher level and yet work in the physical world. Okay? That's what he said. The finite self-variations of the self, in which the mind, losing self-knowledge, is caught and dispersed among the variations, are yet not the denials, but the endless expression of the infinite, and have no other meaning or reason for existence. He is explaining the multiplicity. The finite self-variations of the self. This is the physical world. The finite self-variations are a multiplicity. And the multiplicity in which the mind, losing self-knowledge, is caught and dispersed, okay, are yet not the denials, but the endless expression of the infinite, and have no other meaning for reason or existence. So what Srila is saying, that what we are calling ignorance is not really ignorance. It is the divine wanting to see himself in multiplicity. It is not a denial of the divine. It's a different way the divine wants to see himself in a different way. It's very simple. If you like sweets, okay, I'm giving another example. If you like sweets and you say that bitterness is the opposite and I don't want it and I reject bitterness, then you are not being like the divine. The divine is saying, I like sweet, but I also like bitter. I want to see things bitter also. So he wants to see the knowledge, which is sweet, and he wants to see also the ignorance, which is the bitter, but he is saying that this is another way of looking at it. Why do you say it is the opposite? It's another way of looking at it. Okay. I hope you understood the implication of what he's saying. Don't think that ignorance is bad. Okay? When you are in the ignorance, then you want the knowledge. That's fine. That's very natural. But when you are in the knowledge, you should not reject the multiplicity also. That's what he's saying. You should not reject the ignorance. You should have both, just like the divine. Okay? That's basically what he said. So, the divine being, I'm reading the next sentence. The divine being is not incapable of taking innumerable forms because he is beyond all form in his essence, nor by assuming them does he lose his divinity, but pours out rather in them the delight of his being and the glories of his Godhead. This gold does not cease to be gold because it shapes itself into all kinds of ornaments and coins itself into many currencies and values, nor does the earth power, principle of all this figured by material existence, lose her immutable divinity because she forms herself into habitable worlds, throws herself out in hills and hollows, and allows herself to be shaped into utensils of the hearth and household, as hard metal into the weapon and the engine. So this fantasy grows, but this is exactly what Sri is saying. The divine is one, but he also wants to see himself in the many. So he is creating the world. So we should not reject the physical world. Okay? Everything is gold, but the gold, another example is giving here very clear. You put 10 ornaments on the table, okay? Anklets, rings, earrings, nose rings, necklace, then bangles, okay, bangles with gold, okay, ornaments, then anklets, you see all these things. Everything is gold. The multiplicity of the physical world is not a rejection of the gold. It's only the oneness becomes the multiplicity. If you are in the higher level, you see the gold. If you are in the lower level, you see the ornaments. They are not seeing the gold so much, you are seeing the ornaments. But Srimad is saying, if you go to the third level, you will see both. You will see the oneness and you will also see the ornaments, both. That is what Srimad wants. No rejection of the physical world. Okay? I read next sentence. Matter, substance itself, subtle or dense, mental or material, is form and body of spirit and would never have been created if it could not be made a basis for the self-expression of the spirit. So, one is the poem in the mind of the poet, that is one. But when that mind, the poet, the one in the mind of the poet comes out into many poems, okay, that also is part of himself. So this is what Sri is saying, that both are really divine. Oneness as well as multiplicity. And this is also exactly what the Isha Upanishad says. Okay. Substance or dense, substance itself, subtle or dense, mental and material, is form and body of spirit and would never have been created if it could not be made the basis for the self-expression of the spirit. The apparent inconscience of the material universe holds in itself darkly all that is eternally self-revealed in the luminous superconscious. To reveal it in time, the slow and deliberate delight of nature and the aim of a science. Okay? To reveal it in time is the slow and deliberate delight of nature and the aim of a cyclist. So, the gist of all that he's saying is that man is everywhere. He is not only in the oneness, but he is also in the multiplicity. Don't think that we are calling one knowledge and we are calling one ignorance. But that is because we are attributing different values to these things. Ignorance also is a way of seeing that the Lord wants to see himself in darkness. Why should you like only the daylight? You should also like the darkness. Darkness has got advantages which the daylight does not have. Okay. One thing, for instance, is in darkness you see the moon and the stars. That's a different way of looking. And also many poets have sung about the night. Okay, night is beautiful. Okay? There's a poem of Byron's where he says, "She walks in beauty like the night." So night is beautiful. It's got a velvety touch. Okay, there's another poet who compares night, the darkness of night, to velvetiness. Okay, like a velvet. Okay, so the divine says, enjoy both. That's what it says. I hope it's clear. Okay, we went into many details and many examples also to explain what this. Okay, so it's now 20. We have got 20 minutes. We can read the next one. So, okay, would you like to read?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we read the next one and. We will go
Um,
through.
Okay. But
What
there
we-
are other conceptions of reality, other conceptions of the nature of knowledge, which demand consideration. There is the view that all that exists is a subjective creation of mind, a structure of consciousness, and that the idea of an objective reality self-existent, independent of consciousness, is an illusion. Since we have and can have no evidence of any such independent self-existence of things. This way of seeing may lead to the affirmation of the creative consciousness as the sole reality, or to the denial of all existence and the affirmation of non-existence, or a nascent zero as the sole reality. For in one view, the objects constructed by consciousness have no intrinsic reality, they are merely structures. Even the consciousness that constructs them is itself only a flux of perceptions that assume an appearance of connection and continuity and create a sense of continuous time. But in reality, these things have no stable basis as they are only an appearance of reality. This would mean that the reality is an eternal absence at once of all self-conscious existence and of all that constitutes movements of existence. Knowledge knowledge would mean a return to that from the appearance of the constructed universe. There would be a double and a complete self-extinction, the, the disappearance of Purusha, the cessation or extinction of Prakriti. For the conscious soul and nature are the two terms of our being and comprehend all that we mean by existence, and the negation of both is the absolute nirvana. What is real, then, must be either an inconscience in which this flux and these structures appear, or a superconscious beyond all idea of self or existence. But this view of the universe is only true of the appearance of things when we regard our surface mind as the whole of consciousness. As a description of the working of that mind, it is valid. There, undoubtedly, all looks like a flux and a construction by an impermanent consciousness. But this cannot prevail as a whole account of existence if there is a greater and deeper self-knowledge and word knowledge, a knowledge by identity, a consciousness to which that knowledge is normal, and a being, of which that consciousness is the eternal self-awareness. For then the subjective and the objective can be real and intimate to that consciousness and being. Both can be something of itself, size of its identity, authentic to its existence.
Okay, so we have time, we'll go through it, but I'll explain to you briefly what he's saying. It's not very complicated. He's saying that what I have told you is the integral view. But is it possible that there are other ways of looking also at this thing? So that's what he's examining. And is it possible to look at it now? The problem is that we are judging everything with the mind. But then divine is creating something. He is not creating with the mind. He is creating with the consciousness, which is 10 times more powerful than the mind. I am saying 10 times. It could be infinite times more possible. So what he has created out of his consciousness is something that we cannot understand. So we look at it in different ways, and these different ways, are they valid or not? That's what Shri will examine. Okay. It depends exactly on what you are seeing and how you are seeing. Is it valid or not? Okay, that's what he's saying. Now, let us examine those different views. That's what he's saying one by one. Okay? Now, I'm reading each sentence, and you will see that exactly what he's saying. Okay? But there are other conceptions of reality. I have given you my conception of reality, says Sri Aurobindo, but there are other ways of looking at things. And is there any validity in them? Let us see. Okay. Other conceptions of the nature of knowledge which demand consideration. Which demand consideration means they definitely have to be looked at, examined, and then valued. Okay? There is the view that all that exists is a subjective creation of mind, okay? A structure of consciousness, and that the idea of an objective reality self-existent, independent of consciousness, is an illusion. Since we have and can have no evidence of any such independent self-existence of things. There is a Buddhistic view, it is the mind that is creating the world. Okay? And that also is very obvious if you look at it from the lower level of consciousness. How are you perceiving the world? You are perceiving the world because you have senses. Okay? And the senses are collecting data from the world and sending it to the brain. And the brain is telling you what you're seeing and not seeing. Okay? So this is something that you have to understand. So, if the senses are not there, there is no world for you. So this is one way of looking at it. He's saying the world exists for you only because you have a senses and you have a consciousness. The brain, this is what is there. So if the brain and the senses are not there, the world doesn't exist for you. So you draw the conclusion from there, that is your mind that is creating the world for you individually. Okay? That's what we're looking at now, in this view. There is a view that all that exists is a subjective creation of mind, a structure of consciousness, and that the idea of an objective reality, self-existent, independent of consciousness, is an illusion, since we have and can have no evidence of any such independent self-existence of things. Okay? It's not open to us. Therefore, there's nothing. It's your consciousness that is the main thing. It is that which is creating the world. This way of seeing may lead to the affirmation of the creative consciousness as a sole reality, or to the denial of all existence and the affirmation of non-existence, or a nation zero in the sole reality. So, if you think of it in this way, then it's a consciousness that is creating the whole thing. And there also there are two ways of looking at it. If the consciousness is real, okay, then it's the Advaita view. And if the consciousness itself is not there, like the Buddhistic reality, then it is a zero. So you can look at it in fullness, or you can look at it as a nihil, as a zero. Both are possible. For in one view, the objects constructed by consciousness have no intrinsic reality. That's it. When you go to the Brahmic self, the consciousness of the self, the physical world seems to be unreal. So that's, for you it is absolutely unreal. In one view, the objects constructed by consciousness have no intrinsic reality. They are merely structures. They are merely images, okay? Images, representations, photographs. Even the consciousness that constructs them is itself only a flux of perceptions that assume the appearance of connection and continuity and create a sense of continuous time. But in reality, these things have no stable basis, as they are only an appearance of reality. This is the Buddhistic view. Okay? He is telling of the Buddhistic view. There is nothing, ultimately everything is zero. This would mean that the reality is an eternal absence at once of all self-conscious existence and of all that constitutes movement of existence. Okay? Completely, there is nothing at all. This would mean that the reality is an eternal absence at once of all the self-conscious existence and of all that constitutes movement of existence. In this way, nothing exists, the Buddhistic view. Knowledge would mean a return to that from the appearance of the constructed universe. There would be a double and complete self-extinction. the disappearance of Purusha, the cessation or extinction of Prakriti. Both would disappear. This is a Buddhistic view. Okay? The cessation or extinction of Prakriti. For the conscious soul and nature are the two terms of our being and comprehend all that we mean by existence. And the negation of both is the absolute nirvana. What is real then must be either an inconscience in which this flux and these structures appear, or a superconscience beyond all idea of self or existence. But this view of the universe is only true of the appearances of things when we regard our surface mind as the whole of consciousness. As a description of the working of that mind, it is valid. Okay? So if you limit yourself to the lower level of consciousness, this view is valid. Okay? So listen. Remember, they said that depending on which level you are, you see the physical world, and all these views are valid at that level only. Okay? Where is one? Yeah, exactly. There undoubtedly all looks like a flux and a construction by an impermanent consciousness. But this cannot prevail as a whole account of existence if there is a greater and deeper self-knowledge and world knowledge, a knowledge by itself, a consciousness to which that knowledge is normal, and a being of which that consciousness is the eternal self-awareness. For then, the subjective and the objective can be real and intimate to that consciousness and being. Both can be something of itself, signs of its identity, authentic to its existence. So what Sigma is saying is, there are many, many layers. There is a level 1 in which if you remain, then you feel everything is real. You go to level 2 and you see that what you thought was real is unreal. Okay? Then what you are seeing at level 1 is valid for you. What you are seeing at level 2 is valid for you. When you go to level 3, your view changes altogether, and that becomes valid for you. Both exist. The world exists, and the Brahmic consciousness also exists. Purusha and Prakriti both exist. So that's what he is saying. Okay. So to put it in very simple terms, depending at which level you are, you will see the physical world in a particular way, and that particular way is valid for you only, not valid for others. Everything is relative. That's what it is. Okay? And I explained this also to you in many ways. See, even in the physical world, okay, if you are sitting in a train, I gave you an example. If you're sitting in a train and you're playing with a ball, okay, you're throwing the ball up and it's coming down. And the train is moving at a speed of, say, let us say, 10 miles an hour. Very slow. Okay. So, but what is the movement of the ball for you? You are also moving and the ball also is moving. Therefore, it is vertical. You are playing in the compartment. You are playing in vertical. But someone who is standing on the platform, how will he see this movement? He will see the movement like this, like a series of leaps, isn't it? He is seeing the body is moving in space. The one who is sitting in the compartment, the body is not moving in space. It's just going up and down, up and down. So this is what Sengye is saying, that each level of consciousness has got its own way of looking at things, and it is valid for that particular state of consciousness. This is basically what he is saying. And this is absolutely in accordance with the theory of relativity of Einstein. Einstein is also saying the same thing. He is saying that depending at which level you are stationed physically, you will see the physical world in a particular way. Okay? This is what he basically is saying. Okay? So, in other words, everything is relative. Nothing is absolute except the highest level and except also the lowest level. The lowest level, the inconscience, is absolute in darkness. And the superconscious at the highest level is also absolute in light. This is what you have to see. The divine has created things in such a way that if you want the absolute, you have to go up. If you come down, you cannot experience it because it is darkness. This is the gist of what Swami is saying in this paragraph. Okay. Today I see that many are absent, but it is a very interesting discussion, and he is just telling you that everything is relative. And the relativity is valid for those who are at one particular level. Okay? I stop now here today. So next time, we have to go to the next one. On the other hand, yes, tell me.
Dada, one question just, what the being would have been feeling at the time that when that is seeing the denial of all existence and the affirmation of non-existence or a nascent zero as the sole reality. What type of, I think I meant to say, what type of feeling? That means at that time that being will feel that he is Sachidananda itself, everything is he himself, like that, or what would have been his feeling at that time? When
At which time? That's the whole question. Which time? Which level are you in?
At the nascent zero, when no, at the nascent zero.
Okay.
Negation of everything. At the affirmation of non-existence or a nascent zero as the sole reality. When at that time, what would be the feeling?
Patience is not sole reality. What are you saying? I don't understand. You are in a position where you are in a sole reality. The physical world is unreal. You see the physical world is unreal. That was Srinath's experience in Baroda. He is himself in a consciousness which is absolutely real, and all the things in the physical world are only shadows. They are like shadows. They have no reality. That happens when you are in the level 2. When you are in level 2, your consciousness is absolutely in a static condition, and that is absolutely real. The subtle consciousness is absolutely real, but the physical world I am seeing is only images. They are like photographs. They are no reality. That's what it is.
Okay. That means that is
and
that. Okay.
And if you go to the third level, everything is real. Even the physical world is real. It depends at which level you are seeing. Okay.
Simultaneously, both are real. Physical world is real and static is real.
At the third level, yes.
Third level. At the third level.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm cutting the link.
Okay. Thank you, Dada.
Thank you, Dada.
Thank you, Angada.
Okay.
Arava, Angada.
Have a nice day.